please. Good evening, how are you?
There you go. How's everyone doing?
Good. Thank you. All right, let's start off with the questions. We'll be kind of a round robin, so we'll rotate and ask, and then at the end, you'll have time for closing statement and any questions you might want to ask us. So I'll begin. What interests you in this position? What is your current status of employment?
What interested me in the position of the city administrator for the city of Adrian, first of all, besides also researching the city, the history of fiscal accountability in the sense that the city has managed the finances very well, so that shows a willingness as a mayor and council to ensure that your community is fiscally stable. Outside of that, city management is definitely, the council manager form of government definitely is something that I take pride in. So that is another reason that I was attracted to the position as well. And your second question was?
What is your current status?
Oh, I'm actually self-employed management consultant. Do I need to speak more into the?
Yes.
Okay.
Thinking about Adrian's recruitment profile, what skills and expertise would you especially help Adrian that would bring thinking about Adrian's recruitment profile, what skills and expertise would you especially help Adrian that you would bring to this position?
Yes, I believe that with my experiences with communities that have been of similar size and also larger than the city of Adrian, I believe that I can bring that to your city with the different areas that I have expertise in. For instance, economic development. That is something that the city of Adrian seems to be moving forward in. And I think I can bring my expertise in to help you along with that process and bring things to the table that could help with that process.
Hey, Natasha. How would you describe your management style, and when do you meet with your leadership team?
Yes, I employ a macro management style, meaning that I believe that all departmental directors should have expertise in their specific departments. As far as meeting with the staff, I do meet with the staff once every week. I usually do that on a Monday or Tuesday. We meet every week. There are different departments that you have projects going on with, so I like to meet with a lot of the department heads, just myself and the department head about specific projects that may be going on. I will give an example of maybe public safety. You may have things that are going on in public safety. There may have been different statistics that are coming out that are not favorable. I will meet with the police chief more often because of those things. Economic development, if you have projects that are going forward or we're trying to assess and be able to do some projects and those are coming forward, I may meet with the economic development director more often. So it kind of depends, but I like to cohesively work together as a team and meet at least once a week as a team so that everyone can kind of be on the same page. And then further, just because something is your area, there may be some great ideas or just insight from the other department heads. So I like to give the latitude for each department head to be able to manage their department. However, I am willing to step in if the need arises.
Just a follow-up. Can you tell us an example of when you delegated something significant to somebody else?
Yes, I will give an example of delegating with a number of departmental directors because it was a much larger city. With the city of Flint, when the state of emergency was declared and when that was accepted by the county and then ultimately the state, we had to put in place an emergency management implementation plan. And so there are a lot of moving parts to that. So myself as the oversight and executive director of that, I actually delegated a number of the different areas that we had to have oversight in. I had to delegate that. I'll give you an example. As far as supplies, we had to know what the city needed to be able to deal with that catastrophe. So I actually delegated that, okay, you will be the point person, that because I knew that I couldn't do everything. So there was one time that I had to say, okay, can you be the person that actually looks at the needs of all departments? You will be meeting with different directors of different departments for that oversight. However, I will need a list from you. And there were different functions, and so I had to give up some of that to be able to ultimately get to the goal that we had, and that was for us to be able to set up these sites here and know what we needed, because we were dealing with 9 different wards. So that is really think about as far as what I delegate, because the buck stopped with me in the sense that we had to have all of these things in order so that we could present to the state and to be able to show that, yes, we asked for an emergency to be declared. However, we are equipped and we are doing what we have to do to get you what you need so that you can actually provide to us what we need in this situation.
Commissioner Watson.
Please describe the process you would utilize to recruit and retain talented staff.
Yes, as far as recruiting, I would first look at what you have here as far as recruiting, look at your process and what tools you're utilizing to actually reach those candidates that you're trying to reach. So that would be the first thing that I would want to see, like, what are we doing to try to attract the talent? Are we getting those job descriptions? Are they up to par? Are we getting those out there? Are we, and also after that, I would follow up with the next step. You know, let's look at our pay range for those positions. Let's look at what we require for those positions, because a lot of times with the requirements in trying to attract the talent that you want, you have to have those specific requirements and be able to compensate within that. As far as the staying part, to get people to want to be a part of your community, I think it comes from within, the morale. It's a very small community with city managers. You have your economic development directors, you have your finance directors. It's great to be able to have people in key positions that want to go out and talk about your community and say they love working there. So there are a lot of moving parts to be able to have the skill, you can have all of those things in place, but you must do things that will attract those type of individuals that you're trying to attract by building up within and then trying to attract outside of that.
Commissioner Udis. Hi, thanks for coming.
Describe your personal style of interacting with the commission.
As far as interacting with the commission, I'm very open-headed. You always want unanimous decisions as a city administrator or city manager. So as far as interacting with the commission, I like to know what is important to every single commissioner. And that's very important to me because it helps me as far as being able to do my job as the city manager, city administrator. So I'm very open, and I do like to know what's important, what drove you to become a commissioner. So those are the things that I like to know, and it helps me to balance. There are a lot of different personalities that you could be dealing with a city council or city commission. I'm sorry, I'm so accustomed to the city council. If I say that, please forgive me. But I definitely like to know and develop a very positive working relationship with the mayor and all of the commissioners.
Hello. What experience do you have working with a commission that may at times disagree with one another over policy issues?
To me, that is normal, and that's why you have the process in place. So I don't know if you'll ever meet a city administrator that's not dealt with that. So as far as dealing with those things with policy, I would assume that I'm probably bringing the policy to you as a final. It's great, and just as I said before, it's great if it's unanimous support for every policy, but I think it's important that you be very open about the discussion points, and I myself as a city administrator being able to answer all questions, so that if a policy that everyone doesn't agree with, that we can maybe institute some of those things that can make it a win-win policy for the commission to be able to bring that forward. And then it may be a policy that it's just not the time for the commission, to even look at that policy. It may be something that we need to put more thought into, but I like to be challenged to bring policies and procedures to the council. And I like to hope that, with a great working relationship as a professional manager, that at some point we could, all agree on those policies and be able to move forward with those. But I do know that at times that would not be the case.
Thank you. Commissioner Dalton.
Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you.
Collegiate institutions play an important role in economic development and quality of life in the community. Have you had experience in working with a college or other large institutional presence? And what have you done to leverage the resources of significant community institutions?
Yes, most recently in the city of Flint, Michigan, I worked with the chancellor for the University of Michigan there. So we worked on a project. Most recently, it would have been a project that we had for a building that was located downtown. There was a large bank that owned the whole building, however, they were not operating out of the whole building. And given the fact that the University of Michigan is really growing in the city of Flint, we worked with them to actually, it may sound quite odd, but to split a building so that a portion of that building would be, I believe it was Fifth Third Bank, and then a portion of that building would be for the University of Michigan, Flint. So we worked together. I had to bring in the director of public works, also community development, to come through, to work through those things that we could do to help facilitate that. And I actually was a point person on that in working with the chancellor and the individuals from U of M, actually in Ann Arbor. So we worked together, and that's a project that was actually quite publicized, if you'd like to look at it, that we were able to do as a city, and we worked together, and that actually came to fruition, and they're operating out of that building now for more classes.
Can you describe the difference between a manager and a leader, and where do you fit into these definitions?
Okay, I had to locate where you were. Okay.
It's hard to hear in here, it bounces around.
Okay, so can I hear the question again?
Sure. It's can you describe the difference between a manager and a leader, and where do you fit into these definitions?
Yes, I believe a manager and a leader, if you can, they go hand in hand. In the sense that I believe a leader is someone that you actually have the confidence in, that you can actually say that's a leader and they actually lead by example. Managing is the ability to be able to delegate different things and to know where those things should be based upon the team that you have. So management, leadership, and leadership, I believe I possess both of those things, the ability to manage and the ability to lead, leading by example.
Community involvement is important to the city. Please describe how you would plan to personally become involved in the community.
I would definitely like to see, when you say the city of Adrian is very involved in the community, and as far as myself as a city administrator, in my involvement. I would like to see what the city of Adrian, how the council engages now. Town hall meetings, those are meetings that I have in previous city administrative positions, and even before I became an administrator, been very active in that, and coming to the meetings and being able to offer my expertise when asked to participate by council members, and then also commissioners, and then also the mayor. So I would definitely want to know the key players in the community, and key players meaning your people, the people that live in the city, that have a stake in the city. I would like to get to know the people in the community. So, and then also your different civic organizations. Those are things that I like to be involved in. So I would be looking at what you do now, and I would like to add to that. So that is something that I'm really interested in, and I've always been in positions, even with my first job out of college. Those were some things that I was tasked with as an assistant to the city manager. Case in point, the Historic Commission, I was assigned that in my first job, and I really, to get that revamped and up and going, and that's something that I really enjoyed, and that's actually why I stayed in city management and kept it as my career path.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you comfortable moving to an area where the largest city, standalone community of 22,000 people, or an hour or so away from larger urban areas? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yes, I would. I actually grew up in a community of 5,000 people, so I'm very open to that, and that is something that I actually would welcome, in the sense that 20,000 growing up, that would have been enlarged to me, so that would definitely be okay with me.
Do you have any reservations about serving as our next city administrator? What would be your steepest learning curve related to this position? And in what areas noted in the recruitment profile would you hit the ground running?
I don't have any reservations, and I will say that me not having reservations is because when researching the city of Adrian, there's not a lot of media out there about the city of Adrian, so I will be upfront about that. So I don't know the inner workings of the city of Adrian, and no issues actually stood out to me as far as in my research, so that can definitely be a great thing. As far as hitting the ground, did I skip? I feel like there was a third in there. The second part of that before I get to.
The steepest learning curve related to the position.
So that would be my learning curve, is to see what are the actual, if you may, issues, opportunities, strengths, weaknesses. I would be coming in doing a SWOT analysis of what is happening with the city of Adrian, just to see. That would be something that I would task myself with, to hit the ground running, to have a SWOT analysis done for the city, a health checkup, all of those things. And I hope that kind of answered your question, because I just don't know of any things that really stand out by doing a media search on the city.
You touched on all three answers, or all three questions. Thank you.
Please tell us something about what you were leading in the workplace that flopped.
That's not a question that I actually, I don't see any areas that I see that actually flopped in that sense. However, I guess I will give an experience that maybe appeared to flop. However, I saw it as a win. I know coming to interview as for the city administrator, if I were you, I would definitely do a Google search. I do those things. Those are things that I would definitely do. So, with my time at the city Flint, Michigan, a lot of things happen, a lot of controversial things happen there. However, this won't seem like a flop. I don't see it as a flop. I'll just explain that. It may appear to be a flop. However, I learned going into the city of Flint, Michigan, there were a lot of issues, and that's why I was brought in. I was brought in because there were water issues. Of course, I didn't know all of the water issues. It was a strong mayor government. The city had been in bankruptcy 2 to 3 times in coming out, and I came to actually transition the city. And yeah, I mean, it would appear that that's a flop in the sense that I didn't get to finish what I was doing, as in trying to bring them out of bankruptcy. However, the one accomplishment that I feel strongly about as being a trained professional manager, when I got there, I was viewed as the emergency manager, and they didn't want to listen to me, didn't want to talk, and I had the authority to implement things financially. However, not one single time did I ever implement anything as far as being able to say, this is your budget, stick with it, you have to do this. I actually worked with the council, and the council started to work together to do things together as a council. So those are things that I'm proud of. A flop meaning that I'm not there anymore, and I didn't finish that part of it. However, it was great that I actually had the support of the majority of the council when I left the city of Flint. So I was just trying to see the flop part in there, and then there was a good thing about it. So that's how I can answer your question.
So are there any activities or incidents in your background that may reflect negatively upon your performance, or which would be awkward or embarrassing to us or you if publicly disclosed? Are there any concerns / circumstances which should be aware of now that you would like to?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I'm next.
Okay.
Get your bearings on me. The sound does echo this a little bit. All right. How long do you think you would like to serve in Adrian? And where would you live given this opportunity?
I would be with the city of Adrian as long as the mayor and council was the pleasure of having me serve as a city administrator. As far as where I would live, that would be something that I would actually be coming to you all as the mayor and commissioners to help me with that, because I would like to, if at all possible, find something within the city of Adrian, because I don't see why I would not live in the city of Adrian, and I would hope that you all would help me with that.
Describe the personal actions you use to convey to your staff that ethics and ethical behavior is a high priority with you, and that you also expect it to be a high priority with your staff.
As far as ethics, that is something that I feel very strongly about. And myself as a member of ICMA, our code of ethics, it's quite clear and concise. And I hold to those principles, that being a member of the International City County Management Association. And with that said, I believe that in any city government, municipal government, you should institute a code of ethics for all employees, including the city administrator and also the commissioners as well, to sign. And then also within, I like to do ethics training as well. So that's a very good question, and I think that it needs to be raised more because it empowers people to be able to come forward if there's any doubt that something is ethical or not.
Does the salary level advertised meet your needs?
Yes, it does.
Is there fringe benefits that we need to consider in relation to your candidacy?
Nothing that I would consider unique.
All right, at this time, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, thank you for having me here with the city of Adrian. I actually never come to this part of the state, so if nothing at all, I know where the city of Adrian is, and I know how to get here, and I appreciate you all having me here. Thank you.
Did you have any questions at all?
No, I actually don't have any questions. If I have any questions, I'll get with Mr. Cotton and go from there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Pleasure.